change tickets.
I hope they can get your color on your nice color that you have. Yeah. God damn. He is a really lucky guy. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is the regular meeting of the Fairmont City Council. It's held today, Monday, February 12th, 2018. It's 5:30 p.m. and we are in the City Hall Council chambers. Roll call, Patty.
Cyphers.
Present.
Hawkins.
Yes, here.
Hassick.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Zarley.
Here.
It's been determined that we have a quorum and we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. First item is to approve tonight's agenda, and at your seat there was an addition of a 15.4 possibility of calling for a public hearing for snow plow discussion. And so with that, is there a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of 15.4?
So move.
Second.
Motion offered by Hawkins and second by Peters. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next item is 6.1, the minutes of our special meeting that was held on January 31st, 2018. The minutes were included in your packet. Is there please a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Motion offered by
Second.
Peters and second by Hassick. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next item is 8.1, a proclamation for the Kids Against Hunger Day, and I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas there is an increasing awareness of hunger in the United States and worldwide, and whereas there are more than 815 million people around the world who do not have enough food to eat, and 1 in every 9 people in our planet go to bed hungry every night. And whereas 21,000 people die every day from hunger-related causes, and every 10 seconds a child dies because of hunger-related causes. And whereas 1 in 7 American households struggle to put food on the table, and whereas Minnesotans made over 3 million visits to food shelves in 2017. And whereas in 2017, Martin County Kids Against Hunger packed 12,312 meals, which were used by local food shelves. And whereas lack of adequate nutrition affects the physical and mental development of children. And whereas the Kids Against Hunger food packet is a nutritionally fortified meal that can be made by just adding water to feed a family of 6 for less than $2. And whereas Martin County volunteers have organized the 10th annual Martin County Kids Against Hunger Pack for Saturday, February 17th, 2018, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at St. John Vianney School with the goal of packing 125,000 meals. And whereas volunteers of all ages are encouraged to participate or donate and make a difference in the lives of many children and families in Martin County and around the world. Now therefore I, Deborah J. Foster, Mayor of the City of Fairmont, County of Martin, in Minnesota, do hereby proclaim Saturday, February 17th, 2018 as Kids Against Hunger Day, and call upon all Fairmont and Martin County citizens to recognize and support the efforts of Martin County Kids Against Hunger in packing life-saving meals for local food shelves and Mission Haiti. And so with that, we have Karen Sandhurst that is with us, and Karen is one of the leaders of the Kids Against Hunger, and she just has a few things she'd like to share with us. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for the proclamation. In the past 9 years, we've had a mobile Kids Against Hunger pack in Fairmont, and we have so far packaged 965,644 meals and raised $245,300 to cover the cost of the food and shipping of those meals. It's involved businesses and volunteers all over Martin County and beyond. Local food shelves are offered as much as they want, and the rest will be going to Haiti this year. Once again, the businesses, church, and civic groups, the individuals in Fairmont and surrounding communities have shown great compassion and generosity to our cause. We are overwhelmed with the response, and we are looking forward to surpassing our goal of $25,000 and 125,000 meals this Saturday, February 17th.
Thank you. Karen, would you just like to tell us who the leaders are, yourself and?
We actually have a committee of 25 people. The 4 chair people are Beth Reeve, Sue Holman, myself, and then my husband, Ron Sandhurst.
Okay. Thank you, Karen, for everything that all of you do to make this happen. It's a really good event.
It is a great cause.
It is a great cause.
It's a day of happiness. It's a spirit-filled place. People feel good about themselves. They feel good about what they're doing. And it does make a difference in the lives of real people.
Exactly.
So,
And it's not too late to get signed up.
right.
And so if people
Somebody
just would
wants to
like to
help.
decide that their Saturday is open, they can come down to St. John Vianney School.
We do take walk-ins, yeah.
Yeah.
We will put you to work.
And
we
little
always
people.
have people that are sick or for some reason couldn't make it that
Right.
were signed up, so we'll fill you in.
Right. And little people, I mean, even 3, 4-year-old children can be part of this and younger if they would like to.
Yep.
Thank you. Would
Thank
you
you.
like to have your proclamation?
Sure.
Okay, come on up.
Thanks a lot.
For having us and recognizing us.
Okay, thank you. Next item is 9.1, a public hearing for proposed amendments to Chapter 26. And at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, and we'll start with Mike.
What we're doing tonight is asking the council to amend a few ordinance to be consistent with our current code. In 1996, the city adopted ordinance 96-6 that created the Community Development Division. That division oversees all planning and zoning, the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and accepts all applications. The ordinances in front of you tonight are to bring our city code up to date. So what you're looking at is we have 10 ordinance or 7 ordinance tonight, and all of them deal with replacing language that said city engineer, and that's replaced with community development director. So it's just in those sections of section 26 of our code that before 96, the city engineer was the person one turned their applications into, and the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals turned to. And in those issues, after 96, it became the community development director. So staff's just asking for this ordinance update.
Is there anyone here that would like to address the council during this public hearing? Hearing none, is there please a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion offered
Second.
by Zarling and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Next one would be to approve ordinance numbers 2018-02 through 2018-10.
So moved.
Motion offered by Zarling,
Second.
second by Peters. Is there any further discussion? Roll call. Patty?
Zarling,
Yes.
Cyphers,
Yes.
Passick,
Yes.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Ordinance passed. 15.1, SHIP grant agreement. And Troy?
Evening, Mayor and Council. The city's working or partnering with the Fairmont Active Living Coalition to receive a grant from the statewide health improvement program, the SHIP program. Actually have 2 representatives here to talk a little bit about that program as well as this current Active Living Coalition and the grant that we're working on. We have Amber Elliott and Alyssa Munsterman are going to talk for a couple minutes about
Okay.
this grant.
Okay.
Thank you for having us. I'm Alyssa Munsterman, the SHIP coordinator for Faribault, Martin, and Watonwan counties. I thought I would give a little history of the work that has been done around active living in Fairmont, and I'll leave the fun current stuff to Amber. SHIP started in 2009 with our first round. We worked with the city of Fairmont and the school district to work on safe routes to school. We provided a $10,659.05 grant to really vamp up the safe routes to school, along with painting the sidewalks, crosswalks, and some geocaching GPS unit for kids. We moved on to the second round, which is in 2012, with a $10,000 grant to look at the city's comprehensive land use and pedestrian plan, as well as completing a walk-friendly communities application, as well as keeping safe routes to school at the forefront. This was completed in July 2013, which was your Fairmont Active Transportation Plan that is available on your website. In our third round of SHIP, there was no application. The fourth round, 2015 through 2017, we provided a $9,000 grant to do update those maps in the active transportation plan, as well as some GIS formatting, so you know the updated portion of the active transportation plan from 2017. And then moving now, we are providing a $7,000 grant to do the Active Living Coalition, and then they're going to be meeting regularly the fourth Thursday of every month from 3 p.m. and on. But the rest, I'll have Amber talk about what they're going to work on.
Thank you.
I am Amber Elliott and a part of the Active Coalition team here. Our team consists of different professionals and community members throughout the area. We got together because we have a passion to bring back the Active Living Coalition and make it actually active and people know what's going on. Conversations started about increasing our walking and biking within Fairmont, and then that led to that we want to increase the trail system that is already in place. Some of our goals that we have for this 2-year SHIP period is to increase awareness of the trail system in Fairmont, increase education of the trail system, and increase the education of the walking and bike safety in general within the community. It was kind of funny to me the last few days. I've been telling people that I was going to come here and speak about the trail system. They had no clue. They know about the bike path by the prairie dogs, but they did not know we had like a trail system at all. So I thought that was kind of an eye-opener for me. So some of our objectives that will help us reach our goals is we're going to create and install signage for the trail system throughout the town, and we'll also put kiosks at different trail sites. Our first one we were thinking we were going to do at Cedar Creek Park. That's kind of our main hub there. And then we'll put the trail maps that we used with our last grant in those kiosks. We also are going to be holding walking and biking educational courses to increase the safety awareness and the trail system education in Fairmont. And we'll do that with the school system and the CER program. And we also are talking about creating and launching an online application to access and view the trail system in Fairmont. So this would be an app that you can have on your phone. So wherever you're at in town, we already have the GIS mapping done. We just have to figure out how to get that into an app.
Okay.
So, and if anybody has any questions or would like to join the group, like Alyssa said, we are meeting the fourth Thursday of the month at 3. If anyone wants to join.
Where do you meet at?
Actually upstairs, so here at City Hall.
Oh.
Yep,
You say you have to create an app for those maps?
yep.
So you haven't done that yet?
No, we just found out, last month? Yeah, one of the ideas, yeah.
Well, not a lot of people know, but City of Fairmont has an app, the Fairmont 311 app, and I don't know if that can be integrated into that, but you might check with people at the city. It's an app people can go on, they can report different things, lights out, violations. There's a lot of questions on that app. It's just Fairmont. If you find it for your phone, it's Fairmont 311.
Okay.
And I don't know if something can be integrated into that,
Right.
but it might be an idea to
Okay.
find out anyway, if
Yeah,
there's an app already in
absolutely.
place.
Yeah, make it easier.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just an idea.
Thank you.
yeah.
Troy?
So the city's acting as a fiscal agent for this grant, so we're just requesting the council to authorize the mayor to sign the grant agreement that's included in your agenda.
Is there a motion, please, to authorize the mayor to execute the SHIP grant for the city of Fairmont and the Active Living Coalition?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
offered by Cyphers and second by Hassick. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 15.2, City of Fairmont support for Towards Zero Deaths program. Mike?
Oh, this would be 15.3? Or where are we?
15.2.
I'm ahead.
You're,
That's
okay.
Troy.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're going with Troy? Are you
I'm
doing?
going with Troy.
Thanks, Troy.
Back in November, we had representatives give us a presentation to the council regarding the Towards Zero Death program. There is a Safe Roads Coalition that has been created within Martin County to look at a bunch of different programs to kind of promote the TZD program. So the group has requested that the council approve the resolution, just showing support for the Towards Zero Death program and the Safe Roads Coalition in Martin County.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion, please, to approve Resolution 2018-08, supporting the Towards Zero Deaths program and establishing traffic safety as a
So moved.
priority of our city?
Second.
Motion offered by Hassick and second by Zarling. Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, please, Patty.
Hawkins,
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Zarling,
Yes.
Cyphers,
Yes.
Hassick.
Yes.
Resolution passed. 15.3, Mike.
What I'd like to do tonight is kind of talk about our floodplain management ordinance, or lack thereof, and our lack of participation in the floodplain program. In order for anyone to buy flood insurance, a community must participate in FEMA's flood insurance program. For as long as I know, and don't know if we've ever actually participated, we have floodplain maps, but as a community, we haven't participated in the program. There's a lot of different home mortgage options out there, and if they're backed by the federal government, in a lot of cases, depending on where you're at, you're required to purchase flood insurance. Well, if the community doesn't participate in the flood insurance program, that flood insurance is very expensive. In the last couple of years, we've been encouraged by the Department of Natural Resources and FEMA to enter into the flood insurance program. We met as a planning commission the other night and discussed this. One of the requirements from the DNR and FEMA are to have a couple informal discussions, one with the planning commission and one with the city council, and to introduce everyone to this floodplain ordinance. And so tonight, I just want to introduce you to this floodplain ordinance and maybe get some of your feedback as to whether you think we should participate or not. If there's general discussion that you want to participate, we'll forward the zoning ordinance in front of you to the state for their review, and then we'll come back and take that ordinance through the actual process that we need to follow, call for a public hearing, that sort of thing. So this is just the first step to familiarize all of you with the floodplain ordinance and the notion of getting back into, or getting into the flood insurance, National Flood Insurance Program. Any just general discussion? I know Councilor Peters came to the Planning Commission as a insurance provider and quasi expert, my expert witness or expert testimony at that. And we've had several different real estate companies contact us, in particular Bradley Condominiums. Mortgages there, if they're backed by the federal government, they do require flood insurance because of the location of that. So, Councilor Peters, any insight or?
I guess I think that it is a no-brainer that we would proceed with this. There is virtually no downside, and it would certainly make flood insurance available to, as I said at the Planning Commission, of course, nobody knows that, we are an outlier in that I believe every square inch of Martin County outside the city limits of Fairmont is participating in the federal program. And it's somewhat odd that we're not, and it's, in my opinion, time to take that step.
And I think part of the issue of not being in the program in the past is that there's just not a lot of area within our community that's in a floodplain. There are some outlier lots that are identified as in the floodplain, and they may be 25 feet above the lake. And for some reason, the mapping in the 70s had that placed in the floodplain. But FEMA is, and the DNR are talking about remapping Martin County and Fairmont, so our maps will be updated. They are from 1974, 75, they're pretty old, and it shows very little in the floodplain, so I don't think it's going to have an impact on very few people, but those that are required to get flood insurance, it will have a very positive impact on them. They'll be able to buy it through the program and less costly.
Any questions for Mike or Counselor Peters?
So
Counselor Seiler?
if the maps are redone, is there any restriction on building within a floodplain area that Bruce said there'd be no downside, and I just
Well,
want to
There,
confirm that
there
there's
could be,
no downside.
depending on where the floodplain is located, a lot of our floodplain is along Center Creek. And our comprehensive land use map identifies that area as remaining green space, so we wouldn't allow building in that area anyway. The last place that was identified in the floodplain was the land area between Sisseton Lake and George Lake, where there's a couple houses. They were successful in petitioning FEMA to overturn that decision based on what we've done with our lakes and our dam and that sort of thing. So I really don't think we're going to have, looking at the maps, and you have those in your packet, looking at those maps, I just don't know where we would have a area of floodplain that we would allow building, so I don't believe there should be a conflict.
Are you sort of implying that they're potentially get blindsided and put some land in that would surprise us? Is that?
Well, that would be my concern.
That would be
with
a concern.
With the remapping. And then can I ask one more
Sure, you
question? Impacts for the wastewater treatment plant at all that you're aware of? Nothing there that would change requirements or anything?
No, not, I mean, I don't think there would be any changes there.
Okay.
I'd have to look and see.
I was trying to think
Structure is-
through unintended consequences, and I really can't come, unless somehow they would put a bunch of area that we wouldn't
I
anticipate
guess that
being.
would be one thing that I would appreciate some review on, is what the impact may be on requirements and regulations for the wastewater treatment plant if it's included in the floodplain.
Yeah, I'd have
I-
to look
you
at
know,
the
I don't-
elevation.
I
That,
don't
you're
know,
concerned about the
but-
remapping though, right? Not the
Yes.
way it is now,
Right,
okay.
right. And the one thing I'll add, just with this ordinance, it does set some building elevations above those floodplain things, and so that may have some impact in certain areas under construction, but in most cases, it's, in new construction, it's to protect the home from being flooded, so.
And the other thing we're doing right now is we have our floodplain ordinance in front of you. We will be bringing forward a new stormwater management ordinance, as well as the state's adopted a new uniform shoreline management ordinance, and what we've been doing is trying to make sure all three of those are consistent. And what we did see is we had to, across all three of them, they did have different floor elevations, so we did reestablish that would be consistent with the shoreline management and our stormwater, and now the floodplain ordinance. But we can certainly look into that and try to identify through the mapping if there's going to be, a surprise to us. But this is basically to get the ball rolling so we can send our ordinance to the state and have them review it before we bring it back with other research for all of you to bring to an actual public hearing that will be noticed, and we'll ask for action other than go ahead and send this on to the state for review.
Okay. Any other questions at this time?
I think I asked at the planning commission and they said there's really, that it's not costing us anything to do this, there's no
Yeah,
fees.
and it doesn't cost us anything but staff's time to do the background, but I think it'll be well worth it.
And we're not committing.
And we're not committing,
all.
and it's, it just allows, if it's passed, it allows people to buy flood insurance at a less costly rate.
Okay. With that, is there a motion to forward the presented draft ordinance to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for their approval?
So moved.
Second?
Motion offered by Zarling and second by Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next one is 15.4. And Mike, call for a public hearing for snow plowing discussion.
At our last meeting, we had Troy and Nick Lardy, our streets and park superintendent, provide information on our snow plowing process and procedures. That led to some discussion from some of you that would it perhaps be warranted to have some type of open public discussion on our snow plowing. So what I have in front of you is if you want to do that, do you want to have it at a public hearing here at City Hall during a council meeting, or would you like to schedule a special public input meeting here at the council chambers or at perhaps Southern Minnesota Educational Campus? We often hear people are intimidated and don't want to come here. Or do you think we've discussed the topic enough and we don't need to do anything? So
Yep.
that's the agenda item before you.
Or
Thank
another
you.
option would be, we're having our 4 listening sessions.
That would be
That
enough.
certainly is something that could be incorporated if people choose.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We brought it forward just so that we could have some discussion and make sure that the council has addressed it one way or another on how they'd like to proceed.
Well, I guess I'm in favor of a meeting just on that, especially with the listening sessions already, you've got the topics scheduled already for like the March one. I think it'd be good to have it during the winter, rather than doing it this summer. If we didn't do it this year, it'd be, or this season, we should probably do it early next season, just before the snow flies. But I think it's just a chance for people to share. There's a lot of, right or wrong, there was a lot of concerns about the last snowfall, and giving people a chance to share their feelings, whether they are right or wrong, it's just a chance to do that. And I just thought it'd be a good idea to, to have a meeting specifically on that, and I'd be fine with it even at a regular council meeting, so it doesn't have to be an extra meeting. At least give a chance for people to stand up to the mic. Maybe nobody will show up.
I heard nothing on the last snowfall. Not a word, Tom.
Didn't either.
I only heard that 16-inch heavy wet son of a gun that was a disaster for everybody. I didn't hear anything about the last snowfall. You did.
Lots.
The last
Is
one
that
that we
right?
just had.
Oh, no, the 16-inch one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
but
that
no,
one.
That means the last one that we
Last
just.
one, I haven't heard anything.
Or 4-inch or whatever.
Oh, no, well, no, the only good thing I heard is I talked to Gary Michalke, and for the first time in all the years he's worked at ADS, the roads out there by Industrial Park were cleared, so he appreciated that, And, I think in this last one, but I think what exposed, the 16-inch one exposed what a lot of people feel are flaws in our process. And there might be no flaws, for all I know. Like, when this came up in one of the earlier snowfalls this year, and we had some feedback from the one gentleman, we all got that, people have opinions on when and how it's done and where, and there's no perfectly good right answer, but I just thought there's been enough feedback. I know when I put a post on my Facebook page about the windrow thing, and so of course I heard a lot, but then I reached out and asked people, and I got a lot of feedback on that, and most of it was frustration. There were some positive. The city's doing a great job. I think people ought to quit complaining, but there was a few of those in there, obviously, but most of it was we got an issue. Now I don't know that we have an issue. I told people that
the people, when it first came up, I live in Kings Road, it's always been good, I haven't had a problem with, that kind of thing, so, like I said in the last meeting, when we were out at the Bureau 14 in the January meeting, and I kind of brought it up saying that way, I don't have much of a problem, but there's been some discussion, we're gonna maybe talk about it at the council level, and I saw 2 tables with heads bobbing up and down at the Bureau 14 meeting. I've heard from a number of people even since then who called me and said, so, again, I don't know for certain that we have a problem that isn't, but people out there think that, and I think it's worth having a discussion, at least people, and I'm suggesting leave it at a regular meeting like this, or not call a special meeting, at least to see.
When you say a lot, what is a lot?
Well, I guess when I brought it up at the Bureau 14 meeting, I saw 2 tables of 3 or 4 people at 2 tables say, yes, it is a problem, because I was kind of downplaying it.
Right.
And so so it might be in there, and then a couple of those people I did talk to afterwards, and a lot of the complaints about how quickly they get out there, which way they do it, how some of the things that came up in our last discussion, especially with the 16-inch snowfall, how I had to go 3 days without having any parking on my street because of snow. A lot of people think that in the past, we've used private contractors to help get rid of the snow, and it took 3 or 4 days in the 16-inch one. Again, the fact is there's been enough discussion that it's not gonna hurt us to have, I don't think it hurts to have a special meeting on a separate night, but I'm willing to say, let's make it a point of discussion, even on a regular night like this. These meetings are typically pretty short, and no, I've got tons of calls and feedback, and of course, I encourage people to call me. I put the Facebook post out there that discussed the windrow thing, and, I got about 40 people, or not 40, I probably had 5 people. that put-
How many are tons of people?
Well, yeah, if you
Like
go on
when-
my Facebook page, you'll see the long
No,
discussion.
I just would like you I heard from probably people that directly contacted me, probably 4. 3 of them were business owners, and I get where they were frustrated with that whole thing. I had people stop me on the street and tell me their frustration that they had, and I couldn't have agreed with them more. I was very frustrated with it also, but it was not because of the lack of effort. And it wasn't because of anything else, it was just the situation that we had. And so when you say tons, I don't know how many that, like 100, 150, 200?
I probably had
It will make a
I had
difference.
5 to 8 voicemails. I had 15 or 20 emails.
But when, I guess my point is that City Hall, if you're thinking we're gonna have tons of people coming because you've heard from them, this might not be big enough.
That could be. I don't know.
That's what I mean, is I think that, yeah.
Well,
So-
I think we're rehashing this whole thing. We're having the same discussion we had 2
Right.
weeks ago, which I think is kind of foolish. We should just decide what the topic was. Should we have a meeting?
Should we have a
Rather
meeting?
than go through this
Right.
whole discussion
And I
again.
stipulated at the beginning of this that I don't know that you're getting defensive, Deb. I don't know that there's anything that the city has done wrong. The people think the city has done wrong.
Some people
So a lot of people do, so let's hear them. They may be wrong, but I'm saying, let's let them talk. I mean, we spend at the most usually a half an hour at one of these meetings. Let's give the people a chance to come. Maybe nobody will show up.
Well, I
I
hope
could
they
be
do.
wrong, but the point is that just in the feedback that I've gotten, I just think it's worth giving people a chance to come and share their frustrations and listen to them. I mean,
May
they
I-
elected us, we should let them.
Okay, Council.
Again, the idea was, we had some educational stuff. The idea was to let people learn, which anybody that paid attention learned about what the procedures are and what the hardships and what the challenges. I've heard nothing since that. Pro, con, I haven't had a discussion. And I just called, when you said after the last snowfall, I thought you really meant after the last snowfall, because we had a 4-incher here, I don't know, a few days ago, and
Last Thursday night.
boom, boom, done. So I've heard, I'm just saying, we wanted to give people the information. The information's been put out there. Now, let's decide if we should have a meeting or not, rather than hash the whole thing over again.
And I guess I would just ask for a couple of things. I think we've provided some good information. I think one of the things we need to do at this, if you so choose to have it, is to listen.
Right.
I wouldn't suggest any motions be made at the meeting to
exactly.
do
No, no,
anything or
right.
to change anything, but if you were to do it, it would be to listen. The staff certainly won't have a answer to every question or every thought process that might be brought up by the general public. So I'm just want people to know and to ask you that if you come, it's going to be a listening session. One way, they're going to tell us what their frustrations are, or how great of a job we're doing, and
Yeah, either
so
one.
on.
And maybe Troy could give his presentation again, because you did that was a very good presentation for people to follow along with. And so if they didn't get it the first time, maybe they could get it a second time if the council decides they'd like to have a meeting.
I think we should have I think we should just have it at our city council meeting, open meeting. I thought that the presentation was very good. It answered a lot of questions that I had, and I think that if anybody has any additional concerns, they can bring it to the council and let us know.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with having people come and address it. We have nothing to be afraid of. There's, if there's really not a concern, nobody will show up.
Right.
Okay. Anybody like to?
I'd like to make a motion that we have at one of the next 2 meetings, that we have a public discussion here, whatever's easiest, so we can get the word out.
Pick
know.
one. We should just do it at our next meeting?
If you think that's enough time, I'd be fine with that.
Okay, which is February 26th. And so we'd have to call for a public hearing for February 20, is that correct?
Well, you could, I mean, it depends on if you're gonna have a formal public hearing, or if you wanna just
Just
put
have it under
that
discussion.
on a
Discussion.
discussion
That's what happened.
item
It
for
doesn't have to be a
public
formal public
input,
hearing to
yeah.
me. Just a
Okay.
chance for people to come and talk, that anybody can walk up to the microphone and share their feelings about it.
Okay, there's a motion for, to have an open discussion about snow removal and to have it at our next meeting on February 26th here at City Hall Council Chambers.
Second.
There is a motion by Hawkins and a second by Cyphers. Is there any further discussion?
Further discussion would be, I don't think we need to see the presentation again. I think anybody that is interested, it is on the website, correct?
Okay.
So anybody that feels
Okay.
that they missed it, they can certainly take the time to view that on the City of Fairmont website.
Okay.
Agree with you, Bruce.
Okay.
It's fine with me, yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item, 17. Is there anybody do you have anything, Mike, that you'd like to bring up under 17? How about any council members under 17?
I just was curious, Libby, you shared some stuff with the council. Where's the process at for as far as actually seating the Charter Commission members?
The District Court Administrator's Office is still hashing it out with the State Administrator's Office about how they want to process it. It also doesn't help that the District Court Administrator's in Mexico for the week, so.
Okay.
But they're
What do you mean by process it? What is it?
sending out the notice. After the judge signs the order, then the District Court Administrator's Office is supposed to send out notices to the individual people who've been appointed, letting them know that they've been appointed, and then have them come into their office and swear an oath and get that filed. Well, since last time we did this, the entire state court system has gone digital, and they don't do anything like that anymore. I mean, it's all up to the lawyers to do these, sending out these notices and filing them. But in the case of a charter commission, the statute's very specific about who does it. It says that the District Court Administrator's Office will do this. And so she's dealing with the state, so how do I do this? You know, because their whole business procedure has changed since this happened last time, so
So anybody who was creating a new charter today would have the same issue, probably.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But Elizabeth, we had offered to prepare some of the documents
Oh,
for
yes.
them to expedite it. Is
Right.
that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Well, that makes sense. So, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion offered by Zarling and second by Hasek. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Libby.